Hey guys, Ben here with the MB Market. As we're filming this, we're on the tail end of our virtual car show partnered with the MBCA. If you haven't seen anything coming in today, go check it out on our Instagram page. All the entries are phenomenal right now. So my most recent article was on my 1997 C36 AMG here. If you've seen the article, you know what I've been through for the last 3 months with this car. Every corner was another surprise for me. Back up to January, and we decided to build out the MB market, focusing on Mercedes Benz content, the market itself, analytics, and articles, along with these films, which we hope you're enjoying. At the time, I was admittedly driving a BMW every day, and it was a 1999 M Coupe, or the clown shoe. I wanted to rebrand my car. I wanted to change up the daily and actually rebrand with the Mercedes market itself here, so I set out to replace the BMW. I went through everything from classic W460 G-Wagons and probably non-turbo editions, and I thought, yeah, that's not gonna be real attractive in Atlanta traffic, especially without air conditioning. I looked all the way up to W212 E-classes, diesels and gas. I thought maybe a wagon would be fun, but could get boring after a while as well. I didn't intend to settle on the C36, but we found a listing in February and it just happened. It was on Craigslist down in Florida, and all it said was, call and I will tell you everything. So I called the guy the next morning. The guy sounded like he was around 80 years old, really nice. Didn't know a ton about the car though, and said that I was already second in line to come get it. Probably 9:30 or 10 a.m. rolls around that day. I do get a phone call back from the guy and he says, you know what? This kid came to look at it. He said, I'll tell you, the AC compressor on the car is making a bit of a clunking noise. He said, it sounds like an engine knot. He said, I guarantee you it's not. Okay, it takes some trust at that point. So the kid coming to look at the car passed on it. He said, you know, if you want this thing, it's available. Here are the issues with it. AC compressor is really gonna be your biggest issue. Okay. I've had these before. I know this is probably a $700 to $800 job depending on how it's done, where it's done, and who does it. The rest of it was actually researching ownership. It turned out the car started out life in Atlanta with the first owner and our friend who owned the car now. They had been lifetime friends. He knew the car when the first owner had bought it, and she sold it to him about 2 years ago. The term I've become most familiar with in the last 3 months has been 20 years of deferred maintenance. And that's a blatant red light to any of you right now driving an old Mercedes. If there are scheduled maintenance items you have not addressed, please address them. If not for yourself, for the next owner. Fast forward a week later, I had wired the man the money, I had arranged transport for the car, and the car was showing up on my doorstep in Atlanta on a rainy Sunday morning. We get the car in, get it under the lift, and realize that every single part on this car is original. I mean, I don't think plugs were even ever done on this thing, so we had to address every bit of it, every rubber bit, the bushings, the suspension, plugs, coils, everything. Turns out a lot of the parts on this car didn't fit with the other 202s, and I understand it's an AMG, but you'd think some part numbers would just be interchangeable, and they weren't. Luckily, I do have friends who can search parts in the system, who can actually call Mercedes-Benz and give them a part number and have them run it. We got to order a lot of cool pieces I didn't expect to actually have new for the car, and I'll show you what we found on it and also show you just how nice we made this car after it came to me. Before I get into looking at some of the aesthetics on the car, it's important to remember these were really unique builds at the time. They were a parts bin special, essentially. You had SL600 brakes on it. You had a transmission out of some of the 124s that were being used at the time. It's important to note, as a 97 though, this one did get the 5-speed. Previous cars, 96s, 95s, got the 4-speed out of the 500e. This was the first car Mercedes and AMG officially collaborated on. You could buy this through Mercedes showroom, unlike the previous AMG cars, and it really was genesis for all these newer AMG models today. They took the 202 C280s, trucked them over to AMG. AMG stripped them down, pulled the engine, pulled the brakes, pulled the suspension on them, and gave everything AMG specific parts to make it, you know, the small car, big engine platform that we're so familiar with today from the brand. So because I'm the uber car nerd that I am, I'm gonna start with my favorite part of what we actually got to do to the car. And that's this badge on the front of the bumper right here. Finding these is very difficult, let alone in nice shape. And although I did buy a couple broken and dented ones on Craigslist, I was able to find 4 of these still wrapped in the Mercedes Benz packaging with part numbers still sealed. The second nerdy detail I love about the car that we actually got to handle ourselves, and again, I know it's dumb, but I love the details, are these bumper inserts. Most of the time when you find these, and again, they're specific for the C36s, they're, $500 to $700 on eBay. They're probably not color matched. We were able to find them again through Mercedes-Benz parts, still wrapped, still new, and bring them back into the States, have them painted, have them put on, and clips and everything on it are brand new. Most notably, like most AMGs, the engine is the primary focal point or talking point of these cars. They took the M104, they increased displacement to a 3.6 on this car, and it put out roughly 275 or 76, depending on the publication you look at today, horsepower. It was a great way for me to replicate my old BMW feel into the Mercedes brand. I love a German straight six. There's nothing like the sound, there's nothing like the performance. When this car came to me, we counted 14 dings and we'll say dents, and they weren't, basketball dents, but they were enough to be from a big truck. A great PDR was done on the car. As you can see now, it's smooth as glass from every angle. We also did a great paint correction on it and polish. As you look at these cars, albeit today or 20 years ago, one of the most prominent features was this monoblock wheel. It's one of the prettiest wheels this company ever put on road cars. We did restore this set of wheels on this car. The lips were flaking and peeling. The faces were still okay, but they needed some love. For all the issues the car had when it actually landed in Atlanta, the interior was not on the list. At least 99% of it wasn't. It was in great shape, save for a small layer of dirt and dust. All this gray leather on the steering wheel, the shift knob, came out beautifully with just a magic eraser, actually. One of the coolest things I found with help from the community were original C36 AMG floor mats. If you've looked, a lot of the reproductions now just say Mercedes Benz. They're the right shape, but they don't have the right text anymore on them. These were unused, original, still in the box mats out of Canada. A couple other dumb details I like in the car. I replaced this old Becker head unit with a new one from Becker. Still looks original, but now it syncs Bluetooth. It's much better on road trips. And because I am a late 80s baby, I had to have the car phone in the car. My relationship with this car so far has been rocky, to say the least. I don't know what the future holds for us, whether or not I'm going to keep it for 5 years, 10 years, or maybe sell it in 6 months. I do know for a fact that for what I have in this car right now, it'd be smarter to keep it, at least for a couple of years, see if the values creep up a little bit. Either way, stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching so much. Can't wait to give you guys our next video.